Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Last First Date Radio, featuring interviews with experts in dating, relating, and mating in midlife. And now, here's your host, Sandy Weiner.
Hello, everybody. This is Sandy, and I am the founder and chief love officer at Last First Date. I'm devoted to helping women and some men achieve healthy, off-the-charts love in the second half of life. And we have a fabulous show coming up for you today. I'm going to be speaking with the owner and founder of Dating for True Love, Pamela Vandervoort, about why it's so hard to find lasting love today. Boy, I've been getting so many emails from women who don't even know where to begin. They have given up on love, and it makes me really sad to hear women who don't feel that they have a chance at love anymore. And so I can't wait to talk to Pam about this because it's a topic that's so close to my heart. And I specialize in helping women date as the high-value women that they are in every other part of their lives, because I truly believe that when a woman knows her worth, she attracts her most aligned partner. And I know that I really didn't understand my worth for much of my life, and it definitely informed the choices I made in relationships. Most women who come to me for support are incredible mothers. If they are moms, they do so well as parents, as people in the workplace, but they make one big mistake when they go to date, and this is the top number one mistake. It is the fact that they don't leave their work self behind. And I talk about this a lot because this was eye-opening to me, that women come to a date wearing a similar kind of clothing, not the feminine, beautiful clothing that a woman can wear. They bring competition and one-upsmanship and argumentativeness to a date. And the men that they are really attracted to, the more masculine men, look at these women as competition or somebody they might want to hire, but not somebody they would want to date. So, ladies, we know that you have your femininity in there, and we're not asking you to dumb anything down and make yourself any different than you are, but bring your feminine. Don't lead with that masculine energy, all of that competition. That does not work in the relationship arena. It works in the work arena. So what I've done is I've taken the top 3 mistakes that women make and men in midlife dating, and I've compiled a free report called the Top 3 Mistakes Midlife Daters Make and how to turn them around so you can find lasting love. And it's a free guide. It's my gift to you. And if you don't have your copy yet, just go to lastfirstdate.com and sign up on my homepage. You'll also get my weekly newsletters, which are highly informative and include everything that's happening in the industry, my top blog posts. So it's a lot of great information. It's totally free. So now I would like to introduce our special guest today. Her name is Pamela Vandervoort, and she is the owner and founder of Dating for True Love. In this high-tech world that has inundated singles with so many dating choices, it's become hard to find a clear pathway to love. Pamela shows you how to avoid heartbreak and random dating and discover the secrets to attracting and creating lasting love. Pamela has her bachelor's degree in communication studies and a master's degree in spiritual psychology. And you can find out more about her by going to datingfortruelove.com. So I'd like to welcome to the show Pam.
Hi, Sandy. Thank you so much for having me as your guest.
Oh, thank you so much for being my guest. And this is such a great topic. It is so overwhelming. In fact, a friend of mine called me today, and she said, I have another client for you. She hasn't dated since her divorce, and she has no idea how to get started. She's so overwhelmed with all the choices, and that's why I can't wait to hear what you have to say. So why is it so hard for people to find and keep love today?
You know, you would think it wouldn't be that hard, considering there's more singles in the world today than ever before, and considering there's all these different mediums for finding love, like online dating, there's the speed dating, there's meetups. So with all these different options and more single people today than ever before, at all ages, it would seem like it would be easy, right? So it's kind of confusing. Right. But the reason that it is so hard today is because how we view relationships and what we're looking for is completely and totally different. In the past, it was like all paths led to marriage. People got married in their early 20s. People got married to, just somebody that they felt compatible with, had similar values, had similar religion, were in the same social groups, and then they just stayed married, and they made it work because that was what the options were. But really starting in the 70s, this complete shift in what people are looking for. Now people talk about soulmates, like my business, dating for true love. People are looking for true love. So people's number one value in relationships isn't security anymore, but it is fulfillment. So you're completely changing the ball game. And nobody knows how to get married for fulfillment. It's really easy to get married for security. It's really easy to get married because that's what everybody does. And I think the reason there are so many people now single, especially, in midlife, as you were talking about, is because that didn't work. And now people are looking for something more, and it's completely changed the way people date.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I think that that the way that people are looking for more, and I think women in particular have become much more self-sufficient to the point where they often say, "I don't need a man." So what do you say to women who say, "Well, I'm really good by myself. I don't really need a man." What's wrong with these women?
Well, you know what? I kind of think that's awesome, because when you go into marriage as a need, then you're going to create all kinds of problems. So it's like coming at it from abundance, right? Like, I don't need a man, but my heart longs to share my life with that special someone. I want someone who, what I hear all the time is, I want someone who I enjoy them. I enjoy their company. I want someone who contributes to my life. So it's awesome to not need a man, and it's great to look for a partner who's going to be this awesome, positive addition in their life. But what happens is then there's this belief of scarcity, like, so I want this, but it doesn't exist. And that belief of scarcity, it's not needing a man, which is awesome, but then wanting this true love, this soulmate, but then not believing it's possible, it creates this contradiction, and it makes it really hard to find that person.
True. So I actually think that when you say you don't need a man, you're also doing yourself a disservice, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, because I think that admitting that you actually need to have a man in your life to fulfill a basic human need, which is being in relationship, intimacy, the things that you don't get from your girlfriends or your your male friends, you get from a partner. So I think it's viewed as neediness to say I need a man, but I think that we need to also reframe what needing a man looks like. And I'm curious what you have to say about that.
I love that, because it kind of, when you were talking about women showing up as the businesswoman, I think what that really underlying thing that's going on there is vulnerability. If a woman shows up on a date as the businesswoman, she's powerful, she's in her suit, she's taking charge. And women today, so many times what they say is like, I have to do everything myself. I'm so overwhelmed. I don't have time. I don't make time for myself. I have to do everything myself. So it's really And then, like, I don't need a man. It all comes down to that vulnerability. And it's not a satisfying life to do everything yourself. It's not a satisfying life to be everything to all people. It's not a satisfying life to be an island. We weren't meant to be an island. So it's finding this new way of being. It's like in the past, women were, housewives dependent on their husbands for their survival. Now they can take their survival into their own destiny. They can make their own money, buy their own houses, raise children by themselves, have children by themselves. So, again, it goes back to that fulfillment element of, wow, but in my heart of hearts, that deep longing in my heart, I know that I need that companionship, that love, and it's okay to be vulnerable. And it's okay to let somebody take care of you, and it's okay to let somebody help you. And the new way of being in a relationship is mastering those kind of conflicting desires, the desire to fulfill yourself in your career and the desire to fulfill yourself in a relationship and the desire to be vulnerable and need somebody. And I think that's where the new relationship is heading. That's what, for me, true love really is. So you're right. It's important to have, and it's having both. And that's, I think, the real, mastery.
Yeah, I think that is so important, what you just said. It's a paradox to many people that you can do both, and I think this I just watched a beautiful video by Elizabeth Gilbert that she did an interview with Maria Forleo about fear, and so much of this of our fear, and it was about creativity, but you can apply it to anything. The fear of being rejected, the fear of being, of needing somebody, of opening your heart up and then getting hurt again. And they did talk about paradox, that it is possible to hold two things that seem opposite and hold them both as true. And so I think what you're saying is just so resonant for me. It's that you can be successful and you can be strong and you can have a thriving career and you can make time and open your heart to a relationship. I think it's necessary. Just interesting
because for me, like when I see women navigate the dance, because I help women date and find a relationship, and then I help women develop the person they met dating into a committed relationship. I have 2 programs that do that. And it's just funny watching the dance because at the beginning it's all about, trying to be powerful and create this powerful way of being, and then when the kind of like switch happens where they are like, oh, I might be falling in love with this person, I watch women sort of give up all their power. And so there'll be this, powerful person in the boardroom, let's just say, and then she'll sort of give up all her power in relationship and she'll feel like, oh, but I'm being feminine. And that's just so interesting to me because the roles were so clearly defined before that it's just this new dance and nobody really knows what to do. And so there's this whole thing about knowing what you need in relation, getting your emotional needs met, knowing what your emotional needs are, and then knowing how to ask your partner, hey, I need you to meet this for me. And here's these amazingly powerful women, right, running companies, executive positions, whatever. And they're like, I have to ask him directly that I need him to, give me a hug when I'm feeling sad.
Yeah.
Like terrified. Terrified.
Yeah.
It's
and
awesome.
It's so powerful when you do, because men can't read your mind, and they're so happy when you tell them what you need. It does feel really vulnerable to ask for emotional needs to be met. But the woman who's clear and knows herself and knows what her emotional needs are, she's like a golden ticket, man. I mean, guys flock to that woman like a bee on honey.
Because men want to be successful. That's why, like, when women just want to vent about their day, and like we call up our girlfriends. We're like, oh, and blah blah blah. And we're like, oh, honey, no, yes, and then you tell a guy, and he's like, well, let's go talk to this person about that, or well, why don't you just blah blah blah? And they're like, that's not what I want, But men want to be successful. They want to fix stuff. So if you're like, I need this because of it makes me feel this, they're like, oh, easy, okay, successful, yay, ding, ding, ding.
Right. You're setting him up to win, which is definitely what men love, and this is really true. So how do people get started dating and not waste time dating people that they don't like? So, this is such a big thing. People don't want to waste time. So what would you say would be a good way for people to do that?
Well, online dating is like the number one, time energy suck with very little reward if you don't know how to do it right. But it's also really is a great way to meet people because it's again, I guess, the paradox, right? It can be this time suck with very little reward, but on the flip side, it can be the most efficient way to meet people. So I think, first of all, it's really important to get clear on what you're looking for and what you want. And the other thing I think is so important that you wouldn't think so, but it's to really clear up any stuff that's going on from your past. Because like you were talking about at the beginning about the number one block to finding love is women, showing up as the businesswoman. But I think a lot of that is about self-protection, like we talked about, vulnerability. And I think a big block to finding love is fear. I think people will kind of unconsciously sabotage themselves because it's like the thing that you want the most is the thing you fear. So you want this fulfilling true love relationship, but that means you're really going to be seen by the other person, as opposed to being a housewife who's filling a role, which is taking care of your children, taking care of your home, and they're doing that role, and you're not necessarily really seeing them. Today, we long to be really seen and known and experienced by our partner, but that's also terrifying. So people want this, but then they're afraid of it, and then add being really hurt in the past. Dating in midlife means you have pretty much guaranteed had your heart broken. So I think it's really important to clear up some of your past, or you're going to go out on dates or meet men and you're going to be looking for signs that he's cheating or looking for signs that he's, a deadbeat and not employed and you're going to have to support him financially or whatever your issue is. So then you're going to project that onto your dating experience and then you're going to be frustrated. And especially if cheating is an issue and you're online and you see this other person who's online and they're, talking to all these other women because should be, talking to all these other men. So it's really important to clear up some of that past stuff, I think, before you go out and date. And then when you're online dating, I have a technique that I like to use, which is to have women actually go through and wink at men. So there's a tool on a lot of them where you can find matches similar to somebody that you like, and just to go through and wink at them. Not to necessarily send a message, not to, necessarily write a long drawn-out thing, and then just sort of let them respond, because there's this expression, the man chooses the woman who chooses him. And if you think about, the bar scene, for example, there's very few men, unless they're a total player, that will, just walk up to a woman and be like, hi, I'm so-and-so. Normally what happens is you see somebody, you find them attractive, you kind of look at them, they look at you, you look at them again, maybe you smile, they smile back. You're kind of sending all these signals. And then the man feels comfortable coming over talking to you because they want to be successful, right? So sending out a little wink is a good way of sort of signaling hey, I'm interested in you, and then also letting them show up and come forward.
Mhm. Interesting. So I encourage women to actually send a first email.
Mhm.
And I feel it's not asking somebody out. It's actually saying the same thing as the wink, but it's a little bit more assertive. So it's interesting that. And so you get a lot of success with winking.
Yeah, actually, because one of the and I think they both work. I think that what I've seen happen a lot with women too is they'll sort of get like attached to a profile, and then they'll sort of get bummed out if the person doesn't respond to them or whatever. So, when you send out winks, it's sort of like you don't even have to. You can like let it go, like almost like releasing it to the universe. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I took action and now I release it. But I think that, emails are fine as well. I absolutely do. And I think both work, and I think a lot of it, as you take action with anything, it's about feeling good about your action.
And also not attaching, like you said. I think
exactly, and not attaching.
It's so easy to, people fall in love with profiles, and they also reject profiles without knowing the person. So it works on both ends, and that's actually a really big trap. I used to do it when I first got online. Oh, my God, I fell in love with so many men. Just reading their profile, oh, my God, he's my soulmate. And, you don't know a person until you know them, and sometimes they're not even real. So you got to really be careful about that, all that hope and expectation. And that's why people get burnt out a lot, too, because they put so much energy and emotion into a person before they become a person. They're even real, right?
Exactly. I mean, I know I did the same thing when I remember one of my very first online dating experiences. This guy emailed me, and just to me, he was like perfect. And in my mind, I had us like blown up into going on vacation together, and I was seeing us like traveling these other countries, and I was picturing our wedding. And then when he emailed me back, he was like, oh, so you have horses? And like, horses, so do I. That's great. And I was like, I can't exactly remember what I said because it was a long time ago, but I was like, yes, I like horses, and so do you, and we can go horseback riding together. And like 4 paragraphs. He wrote me like 3 sentences. 4 paragraphs, like going into like some future or something together, and then I never heard from him, and I was devastated. I mean, my husband was gone.
Right. Your horseback riding husband. He rode off into the sunset.
And what about that trip we had planned?
Right. I'll have to cancel my ticket.
And I remember I showed a friend at the time, and she was like, you went way overboard. He wrote you like he's clearly interested. He's interested again, but just, mildly, normally interested, and you just like planned your future in the next email. Of course he didn't hear from you again. And then I was like, maybe he went offline. Maybe he lost my email. Should I email him again? I mean, it was just funny. And my friend's like, honey, you turned him off.
Yeah.
Move on.
Lost opportunity. Look, exactly.
There's 100 other guys out here just like him. Look, you just click that button. There's like 10 more like him.
Yep. Well, that's the abundance piece that people forget. There are no good men online. So that's a great story, and it's a sign that these little things that we do, we're not always aware. And you're an aware person, I'm an aware person, but you can't always see yourself so clearly. And so it's easy to make these mistakes. And you think you're connecting deeply, and you're going to form this great connection, and you're actually stalking him, and he's freaking out. So really important not to plan your future before there's even a present.
Yes, before you've even met the person in person.
Yeah, exactly. He isn't a person until he's until you're in front of him, and even then, it still takes time to get to know each other. So let's talk about other ways to not waste time dating. So you're talking about online dating. So you talked about clarity, what you want. and clearing up your fears and the things from your past. You don't keep projecting it onto your future partner. And you're suggesting that women wink at men and let them respond. So what other tips can you give people who don't want to waste time but really want to have success?
The other, I think, biggest tip is to not get impatient. Because the more you start to get impatient, the more it takes longer. It like takes longer then. And I see so many people when they start dating, they're like all excited, and especially even when they start working with a coach, you know, and they're all excited and this is going to be different and I feel it's going to happen and synchronicities happen and then like something goes wrong, you know, like they go on a date with a guy, they really like him and he doesn't call, or, you know, I don't know, just something goes wrong and they get discouraged and then they just stop. And usually they get discouraged and want to stop right before the big breakthrough. So it's really important not to get impatient and not to get discouraged and stop, because you are going to have obstacles along the way. That's just life. I mean, if you think of any big goal you've ever had in your life, let's say business, right? It's like nobody just creates a successful business or climbs the corporate ladder without an obstacle, without stuff going wrong along the way. You know, every successful person has experienced, you know, minor failures, but I don't believe in failure, but, you know, setbacks or learning experiences. And the same is for dating, but whereas people will just kind of power through setbacks in business, for example, setbacks of the heart can be devastating and will cause women to just sort of want to go back to their old routine or, you know, go run and hide. And so not getting discouraged and developing a little bit of a more resilient attitude about it will actually speed things along.
Yeah, I think this is so key. The attitude, the mindset you have is so important in anything that you do, but, you know, to be patient that things don't always come in the way that you think they're going to come, and a lot of times you end up in you know, dating people who are not right for you. I mean, it's a whole lot of wrongs until it becomes a right. And how did you meet your husband?
Actually, I'm not married at this time, but
oh, you're not married. Okay.
Not married at this time, no. But I did meet my partner actually online, so that, and I went through the whole thing of, I was online dating like 3 main times, and I got into the relationship with the wrong person on several occasions, and I had to sort of, and like for me, because it was so enmeshed in my business, that I had to really break up with the person, even though it was like tied to my success in some way. And it was very clarifying to me to say, you know what? Sometimes it's really hard to leave somebody when it's not right because of appearances, because of not wanting to fail, because of fear of being alone. And it's like taking that big leap of ending a relationship and knowing, hey, I still have value. Hey, I'm still worthy. And then trusting that the next right person will come along is such a profound decision to make as well.
I so agree. I mean, I think really owning your value and never giving up your value or your power for anyone is just so important in the dating process. Well, we are at the end of the show, and this has been fabulous, and I would just love for you to share how people can find you.
Yes, so my website, www.datingfortruelove.com, and right now I actually have up my free webinar, Single to Engaged, and it takes you through the 5 steps to finding true love. So I actually explain my proven system for finding true love in this webinar, and it's up now on my website, so feel free to check it out. I'd love to have you.
Awesome. That sounds really helpful. So thank you so much for coming on the show, Pam, and sharing your dating wisdom with our audience.
Well, thank you. It was really fun.
Thank you.
Great
and
discussion.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Yeah, really great. I loved it. And thanks, everybody, for listening in today. And I hope you all go on your last first date very soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.